Hey fellow garage fabbers. In several previous videos, my buddy Mark and I built a completely custom bed for his Isuzu mini truck. The project went quite well until I tried to get a little fancy with the hinges in some access doors.
It won't close.
Well, in this video, we finally get it figured out.
The last episode ended when I realized that all the work that I put into the hinges was wasted because the door wouldn't close. In this episode, we start by removing everything so we can start over.
I am struggling so bad with these doors, and I'm about over it. Every brilliant idea I've had has failed, and in fact, each problem seems to be snowballing. The hinges on these doors are getting worse and worse with everything I try. Oh, that's gone. I'm so close to getting to paint this thing, and I'm still fighting with these damn doors. To start, I had the doors installed with just some long 6mm bolts, and that was great. But it's just not the right way to do things. Those holes would eventually hog out, not to mention it would rattle like crazy driving down the road. So I wanted to install some bronze bushings that are much tighter so it wouldn't rattle, and they're replaceable. I finally got it to work, but then I found out that the long shoulder bolt that I wanted to use was actually turning in the nutsert, so that would have been terrible eventually. So the newest plan is
I am ditching these oil-like bushings. It would have been great to replace them if needed, but they require a smaller shoulder bolt that can't reach across 2 inches of framework and the door gap. So they're gone. They're done. Instead, I got some larger machined shoulder bolts. These fit snugly in the DOM tube without the oil-like bushing, with almost no play. I'll put some special sticky grease in there, and hopefully they'll last forever and never develop a rattle. Best of all, they're long enough to pass through both pieces of frame, provide the gap, and fully tighten up. So here's the deal. One of these bushings is already welded into the door. It can't move. The other isn't welded to anything, and there's a lot of wiggle in the hole that's drilled into the bed frame. I'm gonna put the door in, install all the bushings and the bolt, space the gaps in the door perfectly all the way around, position the door height perfectly, and lock in the position of everything by welding in the loose bushing through the hole in the top of the bed. This sucks since the body work is pretty much done, or it's as done as it's going to be. And now here I am destroying it, but I'm over it. All right, the door's in, the gaps are perfect, the bushings are in the holes. You can see them right there. I missed on the first time I drilled, so I had to oval this out, but that's fine, because now I get a whole bunch of space to weld that bushing in. The height is set, and now it's time to put a big juicy spot weld right there and lock that bushing in place. Alright, there it is. I'm gonna weld it in. I think the last thing we have to do before painting this bed is to get this front door fitted. And really all that's necessary is to drill and mount the push button latches. But also this one is being held in with pins rather than a hinge because this door needs to be removable. Originally we were planning on making this door swappable. There's going to be 2 versions of this door. I don't think we're going to be doing that anymore, but we're still going to use the pin method. And right now there's some 1/4 inch pins in there, which are plenty big
They don't really need to be any bigger than that, but in the bed is just some 1/4-inch holes drilled into the frame that these fit into. And again, we'd be dealing with a lot of rattling and metal on metal contact, so I don't want to do that. What I decided to do is, since I'm a Toyota mechanic, I have a whole buttload of these in my toolbox. This is a rubber grommet for a Toyota PCV valve, and they're really easy to get. So if they were to ever wear out, it'd be really easy to replace. This has close to a 7/16 inch hole. So I'm going to change out these 1/4-inch pins with this 7/16 stainless rod, which is nice because this isn't going to get painted. So stainless means these pins shouldn't stain.
All right, I'm going to do these pins the same way I did the smaller ones. These are cut to 2 inches. And the reason for that is I want the pin to go all the way through the frame on the door, which is 1 inch. And then I want about 3/4 of an inch to stick out on the front side because I don't want this pin to reach all the way through the frame on the bed and hit the gag reflex. So I'm going to cut the pin at 2 inches, push it back so that a 1/4 inch is sticking out on the back side. It'll give me something to weld, and then the front side will be about 3/4. All right, we've got two 2-inch pins, and I want to knock these corners off. And to do that, we're going to use a drill and a flap disc. If you haven't seen this before, it's pretty fantastic. Sometimes I forget the stuff I do all the time is new to other people. Chuck something in the drill. Start your handheld lathe. I think I'm going to hit this with a finer grit though, because that flap disc is pretty coarse. It's not very shiny and smooth like the rest of it. Much better. Maybe finish it off with a Scotch-Brite pad? Yeah, that's nice. Yep. Oh, that's sick. Kind of turned on right now. Oh yeah, that's nice. I lied because we gotta reach through that grommet also. So this grommet has almost an 1/8 inch thick rubber face. So let's do 7/8 of an inch. Let's weld that right there. Step back, you're dancing kinda close. I feel a little poke coming through on you. Yeah, buddy. Do you see the uneven gap on this door? On the edges, we got almost an 1/8 inch there, and then a little bit more on this side, and then right in the middle, it's actually touching. That's because there must have been some sort of warpage when I was welding the bed floor. This is the door right here. This edge of this door is perfectly straight. So the problem is actually the bed itself. I can't do anything about that. But what I can do is I can trim this door. And when contouring something that you can trim up against something else, this is what I do. I butt up the two edges
that I need to mate perfectly. Make sure one is a little lower than the other, because I'm going to draw a line along this edge. And what's going to happen is where there's a gap, the pen isn't really going to write on there because the pen is going to drop into the gap. But once you get closer to where the two pieces are actually touching, there will be a mark, and then we can trim off that mark, and then in theory, one piece will be perfectly matched to the other. For pieces that have like much more of a gap, you might need to do it a couple times, but if you're patient, you'll get a perfect match. So on this side, the marker is just barely drawing on the edge. In the middle, it's drawing on the door quite a bit more. And then on this side, it doesn't draw on the door at all. Just with the black marker on there, it kind of looks like the door matches better now. Let's go take a look at this on the bench.
So now when we look up close, we got like an 1/8 inch of marker there. We're gonna trim off all this marker, and as we get close to the edge, you'll see it get thinner and thinner and thinner until it almost completely disappears. It's kind of the same on the other side. So we'll do one pass, get rid of all this marker, and then we'll try it again and see if it looks any better. Significantly better. Looks like it could probably be even better still. So we'll go over it one more time. Looks like we could trim the center just a tiny little bit. The rear access door is cut out. Holes are drilled in the truck. Today we get to do Rivnuts. I love Rivnuts, but I've only got, 8 left? 7? That sucks. I'm gonna have to go get some of those. But let's do a couple today, since we only got a few minutes of sunlight left. And I'll go get some more tomorrow. Rivnuts are great when you need to put threads in something, or rather you need to put bolts in something where you have no access to the back. Just like this. This is 1x2 hollow tubing. I can't put a nut on the back, so we have to put some threads in there. In order to do that, we need to start with a hole that's big enough for this to fit in there, but we want the hole to be barely big enough. It's got some splines on there that are supposed to keep it from spinning, because if it spins, it sucks because you can't get to the backside to hold it with anything. So it is imperative that this locks in and does not spin.
So the hole that we're gonna put this in needs to be really tight. If we can get these splines to engage the metal, that'd be fantastic. That's pretty tight. I am not complaining with that at all. And there it is. Now what this tool does is when you squeeze this, it pulls this front edge back and it kind of mushrooms this entire thing. I think maybe I'll waste one and I'll do some sheet metal so that you can see, oh, you know what? Actually, got some holes down here that I'm gonna be doing that you can see the backside. So I'll show you exactly what these are doing. So I'm gonna do that many more times, but I'm not gonna show you because that's gonna get boring after a while, no?
It has been many years since I've bead rolled something, so I hope I don't mess this up. Whoa, it's definitely way too fast for not having any practice. That was full speed. Here comes the turns, which is what I really struggle with. Let's turn this thing all the way down. Yeah, I didn't plan that out right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two, 3, 4, 5. Wow, I really fucked up that corner. Oh boy.
So I really did not do a very good job on this. I'm gonna pass over it really fast so you can't really see, but I will show you that corner. Man, I messed up that corner. So I just went way too fast for 1, not having enough experience, and 2, not having bead rolled in a really long time. So I'm going to try something which could potentially ruin this entire piece. I'm going to flatten out these bead rolls and try it again on the same piece. Aluminum generally doesn't like to be bent and then rebent. So there's a possibility this is gonna crack when I try to bead roll it a second time. But I'm really not happy with these corners, so.
also got a little off course in the middle here. So I'm gonna straighten that out too. There's a really good possibility that this looks like ass when I'm done with it. There you go. Nice and flat again. Sort of. The DA isn't digging into the aluminum enough to get rid of the old track marks from the bead roller, so I'm getting a little more aggressive. And making it thinner, of course. Definitely much straighter. Alright, we're gonna try the corners once more at a much slower speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I haven't mentioned it yet, the reason I'm counting the turns is because that'll make sure that every time you run a bead, it's the same depth. First do a test bead, figure out what depth you like, and then use that same number of turns every time. This is about as slow as this goes, and I'm still getting antsy as we get closer to this turn. Turns are just so weird for me. I don't do this a lot, but I still feel like I should be more comfortable with it than I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm having a hard time figuring out how I need to position this panel because it's so long, it's not going to swing into the throat. What I need is an adjustable arm on this bead roller so that I can move these dies in and out, and I keep dragging my feet on that, and then I get into a predicament like this. Oh, that's why I made those lines on there on the other side, because I have to flip a piece over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not bad. I'm gonna go with it. We can move on to the latches in the door. We're gonna drill some holes, one in each corner for those pin latches, which means we need something to attach the bottom part of the pin latches to. And I think that's just going to be a piece of angle iron right here, but I don't want to put it all the way across, so I think I'm just gonna make some
little pieces, maybe 3 inches, and then we'll put a 45-degree angle there and round off this corner right here. I've decided I'm going to mount this 1 inch from the top. There's a 1-inch rubber bumper that's going to go there. And the latch itself kind of hangs down close to 1 inch. I'm having a bit of a pouty moment right now, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain it clearly, but I used angle iron on this edge of the door. I did that for 2 reasons. One was so when the door closes, the corner doesn't hit this edge, which I was worried it was going to do. Kind of looks like it wouldn't have, but that's what I was worried about. And then also, this edge was supposed to be so that I could use a latch like this. I just drill a hole in this angle iron and mount the latch right around here somewhere. The problem is I didn't use big enough angle iron. Well, that's what I came up with anyways. This is 1 1/4 inch angle iron, so that this usable space right here for the latch is 1 inch. This push button latch is also 1 inch. So that's all fine and dandy, right? But I feel like it looks weird. Because of this part of the angle iron right here, I would have to position the latch right on the corner, and that bothers me. I would really like to have at least like a 1/4 inch away from the edges, but I can't because of that stupid angle iron. Another option is to put it way on the inside, and I don't really like that either. So I think what I come up with is a really annoying process, which is actually cutting out some of this vertical part. Well, I called Mark, asked him what he thought, and he didn't really see a problem with the button being mounted right on the edge the way that I do. So that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna mount it right on the edge, which I'm not gonna complain about because that is so much easier. So much easier. All right, I started with an 1/8 inch hole for 2 reasons. One, because this hole is going to be much bigger in order to fit the button, which is a 3/4 inch hole. I got a 3/4 inch hole cutter from Hinge, and this pin is 1/8. That will center that perfectly. But I also drilled this 1/8 inch hole all the way through down to the bottom where the post is going to go in, so that I know this hole down here for the post is directly below this hole for the button. So this part of the latch is a 1/4 stud, so I'll drill a 1/4 inch hole. Yeah, buddy. Drum roll, please. Feels like it might have been misaligned a little bit. I was having a hard time trying to figure out how high to mount this little ball. It goes up inside the button a little bit. And how do you know how high this needs to be? And there's no instructions, so I just decided to insert it into the button and then adjust it until the button was flush with the top of the bit. And that worked pretty well. Not bad. So there they are, flush right up against both edges, both sides. Guess it's not too bad. Still not super thrilled, but it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I was not going to mount these utility rails until after we painted, but it's been windy all day, so painting ain't happening today. So I might as well skip ahead and do this so that I'm at least doing something. We've decided we're gonna mount these rails an inch from the floor rather than going across the top because it's such a shallow bed floor. We want to, I don't know what we want to do, but I do know that it'll be super strong there. There's a sheet metal brake under here, and then the floor is going to be super rigid at 1 inch from the
the thing here. Floor. 1 inch from the floor. The angle looks good, but made the angle the wrong way. So hopefully these fit on the other side. I lucked out on this side. That one is absolutely perfect. I'm just going to use a 1 inch square tool to make sure that this is parallel to the floor. My thoughts are, if the distance from the top of the rail to the floor is a little bit different on either side, which it shouldn't be, since it's closer to the floor, it's better to make it look parallel than to actually be parallel with the rail up here. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. Try not to jam the drill bit in and screw up the bedside. Nice. Very nice. Let's go get a tool.
This bed project will not end. I swear. Every time I think I'm editing the last video, I find another hour and a half of footage that I don't remember filming. But I think that the next video is going to be the video where we finally see this thing in paint and get it out of my driveway. But I guess we'll see. But that's the end of this one. Oh, hey, check the GarageFab subscriber numbers. It's crazy. It feels like 2 years ago we were in 4 digits, and now we're 200 away from there being 100,000 of you. That's like 200,000 eyeballs on me, except for the small amount of the population that lost an eye. Wow, fabricating. But I don't know what to do. What do YouTubers do when they hit 100K? Do we throw a party? Do I do a giveaway? I don't know how to do giveaways. I don't really have anything to give away. I'm kind of scared. I'm super excited, incredibly grateful, but I'm kind of scared. But until the next one, my friends, keep moving forward.